This one? Okay.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Vasudevaya.
Okay, let's study and discuss Bhagavad-gita as it is, Chapter 2, entitled Contents of the Gita Summarized, Text 7. It's October 8th, 2023. Text 7, Chapter 2. Karpanya,
Yapanya.
Dosha, Upahata, Svabhava, Prichami, Tvam, Dharma, Samudha, Cheta, Yat, Shreya, Syat, Nishchitam, Bruhi, Tat, Me, Shishya, Te, Aham, Sadi, Mam, Tvam, Prapanam, Karpanya Dosha Patasvabhava, Pichami Tvam Dharma Samuda Cheta, Yatreyasyan Nishchitam Bruhitan Me, Shishastaham Sarimam Tvam Prapanam, Karpanya Dosha Patasvabhava, Pichami Tvam Dharma Samuda Cheta, Yatreyasyan Nishchitam Bruhitan Me, Shishastaham Sarimam Tvam Prapanam, Karpanya Dosha Patasvabhava, Pichami Tvam Dharma Samuda Cheta, Yatreyasyan Nishchitam Bruhitan Me, Shishastaham Sarimam Tvam Prapanam, Karpanya Dosha Pahata Svabhava, Pichami Tvam Dharma Samuda Cheta, Yatreyasyan Nishchitam Bruhitan Me, Shishasteham Sadiham Tvam Prapanam, Karpanya Dosha Pahata Svabhava, Pichami Tvam Dharma Samuda Cheta, Yatreyasyan Nishchitam Bruhitan Me, Shishasteham Sadimam Tvam Prapanam. Would anyone online like to recite the verse?
Karpanya Dosa Pahata
svabhava.
Karpanya dosha pahata svabhava.
Rachami tvam dharma samudacheta.
Prichami tvam dharma samudacheta.
Yachtreyasran nishchitam bruhitan me.
Yajayasa nishchitam bruhitan me.
Sisyaste hamsadimam tvam prapanam.
Shishyaste hamsa dimam tvam prapanam. All right, we'll go to the word meanings. Karpanya,
Karpanya,
miserly.
miserly,
Dosha,
dosha,
weakness.
weakness,
Upahata,
upata,
being inflicted by.
being afflicted by,
Svabhava,
swabhava,
characteristics.
characteristics,
Prichami,
vichami,
I am asking.
I am asking,
Tvam,
tvam,
unto you.
unto you,
Dharma,
dharma,
religion.
religion,
Samudha,
samudra,
bewildered. Cheta,
cheta,
hidden heart. Yat,
yat,
what?
what,
Shreya,
shreya,
all good.
all good,
Syat,
yat,
maybe.
maybe,
Nishchitam,
nishchitam,
confidently.
confidently,
Bruhi,
ruhi,
tell.
tell him,
Tat,
that,
that.
that,
May,
may,
unto me.
unto me,
Shishya,
shishya,
disciple.
disciple,
Te,
say,
your.
you,
Aham, I am.
I am,
Sadhi,
sadhi,
just instruct.
just instruct,
Mam, me.
me,
Tvam, unto you.
unto you,
Prapanam,
covenant,
surrendered.
surrender.
Translation. So this is Arjuna speaking. Srila Prabhupada, well, Prabhupada calls this a turning point in Bhagavad-gita. This is a cornerstone verse in Bhagavad-gita. So let's delve into it. So this is a transformational verse. This is Arjuna speaking. Now I am confused about my duty and have lost all composure because of weakness. In this condition, I am asking you to tell me clearly what is best for me. Now I am your disciple and a soul surrendered unto you. Please instruct me. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. By nature's own way, the complete system of material activities is a source of perplexity for everyone. In every step, there is perplexity, and therefore it behooves one to approach a bona fide spiritual master who can give one proper guidance for executing the purpose of life. All Vedic literatures advise us to approach a bona fide spiritual master to get free from the perplexities of life, which happen without our desire. They're like a forest fire that somehow blazes without being set by anyone. Similarly, the world situation is such that perplexities of life automatically appear without our wanting such confusion. No one wants fire, and yet it takes place, and we become perplexed. The Vedic wisdom, therefore, advises that in order to solve the perplexities of life and to understand the science of the solution, one must approach a spiritual master who is in the disciplic succession. A person with a bona fide spiritual master is supposed to know everything. One should not therefore remain in material perplexities, but should approach a spiritual master. This is the purport of this verse. Who is the man in material perplexities? It is he who does not understand the problems of life. In the Gargopanishad, the perplexed man is described as follows. Yova etad aksharam gargyavi deepa smal okat praitik sakripana. Quote, he is a miserly man who does not solve the problems of life as a human, and who thus quits this world like the cats and dogs without understanding the science of self-realization. This human form of life is a most valuable asset for the living entity who can utilize it for solving the problems of life. Therefore, one who does not utilize this opportunity properly is a miser. On the other hand, there is the Brahmin, or he who is intelligent enough to utilize this body to solve all the problems of life. The Kripanas, or miserly persons, waste their time in being overly affectionate for family, society, country, etc. In the material conception of life, one is often attached to family life, namely to wife, children, and other members on the basis of skin disease. The Kripana thinks that he is able to protect his family members from death, or the Kripana thinks that his family or society can save him from the verge of death. Such family attachment can be found even in the lower animals who take care of children also. Being intelligent, Arjuna could understand that his affection for family members and his wish to protect them from death were the cause of his perplexities. Although he could understand that his duty to fight was awaiting him still, on account of miserly weakness, he could not discharge the duties. He is therefore asking Lord Krishna, the supreme spiritual master, to make a definite solution. He offers himself to Krishna as a disciple. He wants to stop friendly talks. Talks between the master and the disciple are serious. And now Arjuna wants to talk very seriously before the recognized spiritual master. Krishna is therefore the original spiritual master of the science of Bhagavad-gita, and Arjuna is the first disciple for understanding the Gita. How Arjuna understands the Bhagavad-gita is stated in the Gita itself. And yet foolish mundane scholars explain that one need not submit to Krishna as a person, but to the unborn within Krishna. There is no difference between Krishna's within and without. And one who has no sense of this understanding is the greatest fool in trying to understand Bhagavad-gita. Amanganatimirandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kadamayam Darati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Saganaragnatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitan Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radhakanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gorange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Panchakalpatayubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyeva cha Patitanan Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaurabhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Sarasvati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine. Bhagavad-gita, Chapter 2, Text 7. Karpanya dosha pata svabhava prichamitvam dharma samuda chetaya shreyasya nishchitab bruitan me shishyasteham sadimam tvam prapanam. Now I am confused about my duty and I have lost all composure due to weakness. In this condition, I ask you to tell me clearly what to do. Now I am your disciple and a soul surrendered unto you. Please instruct me. Okay, so yeah, this is Prabhupada used the term, this is a turning point in Bhagavad-gita. We've often, in various capacities, I talk about, some of you have heard me tell in various capacities about Professor Gresset and Nimai the carpenter. And Nimai said to the professor, the people in this community don't understand the first thing about Bhagavad. They don't understand the first lesson about Bhagavad-gita. So Professor Gressett, they were neighbors here in Alachua and friends. And the first lesson in Bhagavad-gita. So generally that's seen as the 20 verses starting from Bhagavad-gita text 11 to 30. A week ago, Bhakti Valerie gave class on the 20th of those 20 verses. Dehi nitya avajyoyam dehi sarvasya bharata tasmad sarvani bhutani natam sochitumarhasi, that the soul that inhabits the body is eternal. And so but Nimai was referring to, the first lesson is before that, to feel your feelings and express them, experience your experience and communicate your experience so others get you. And so this is there in the first chapter, and really the first 10 verses, the first 6 verses of the second chapter. Arjuna is experiencing these very vulnerable, he's experiencing his experience of physical sensation, of thought, of feeling, and they're very non-warrior-like, and he expresses them in his vulnerability and his honesty. That leads to that profound philosophical thesis that is the Bhagavad-gita. So till this point, there's a lot in Bhagavad-gita about psychology, about sociology, about political arrangements, etc. And now Arjuna, because they hold it, experience my experience. Okay, at the same time, that's not the complete picture of a purposeful life. Experience my experience, and to process and understand my experience in the context of absolute knowledge of higher principles. So now Arjuna's like, yeah, okay, here's my experience, and I'm lost and I'm confused. So now Arjuna is saying, okay, all right, so now I'm submitting as your disciple. He's accepting a guru. He's accepting a guru. So this is a turning point. And that's when now Krishna goes into, okay, so here's knowledge. And through this knowledge, here's the context, here's a framework for you to understand and process the experience of feeling, thought, and emotion. So Arjuna has the honesty, right, to realize I'm perplexed, I'm confused. That requires humility. It's reminiscent of Srila Sanatana Goswami in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Srila Sanatana Goswami, he's quite a accomplished person. He was still young, still he was the prime minister of the land. He was so intelligent and bright, and he knew like 6 languages fluently and rich. He had everything. So in his first approach, he approaches Lord Chaitanya wearing only a loincloth, and Sanatana Goswami takes a straw between his teeth, meaning I am lower than the blade of grass. And Sanatana Goswami says, Ke ami kene amaya jare tapatrai. He says, people think I'm great. People think I've really got it together, and they approach me as a mentor and a leader, and they admire me. And here's the thing, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, I don't even know who I am. I do know that I'm suffering, and I don't want to suffer. So it's similar to Arjuna. So that's Arjuna also, he's this mighty, successful person, the alpha warrior of the age. Sanatana Goswami, this mighty, successful, but then they approach, okay, yeah, I'm lost. And I do know that you're capable to guide me. In reading this just now, just in the first part of the purport, I saw the term perplexities like 10 times. Prabhupada used it like every sentence, perplexities. I'm reminded of, I don't know if anyone here would know this, the the Rambam, Rabbi Moses ben Nachmanides. He's a real pillar of Jewish philosophy. It's in, if you go to the yeshiva, it's the centers of Jewish learning. Their statement is from Moses to Moses, two pillars of Jewish philosophy. Moses from Bible times and Moses ben Nachmanides. And his acronym is the Rambam, Rabbi Moses ben Nachmanides. Anyhow, his main work, his main philosophical work is called A Guide for the Perplexed. A Guide for the Perplexed. So I just felt compelled to state that there because Prabhupada uses that word complexed. So a true guru will guide us out of the perplexities. We often quote M. Scott Peck in his book, The Road Less Traveled. He starts with the short sentence, life is difficult. And as long as our goal is to try to, I'll just fix this and I'll adjust that, and then life won't be difficult. No, the nature of material consciousness, existence in the material world, there's going to be difficulties, and Scott Peck goes on to emphasize. Once we accept that and we stop resisting that reality, then it doesn't matter, because then we get to devote ourselves to higher principles. And then even those difficulties become an impetus to deeper inspiration to live with higher purpose. Prabhupada, he uses the term skin disease like a medical diagnosis. So it's a spiritual diagnosis. One is often attached to family life, namely to wife, children, and other members on the basis of skin disease. Sometimes Prabhupada talks about heart disease also. So to whatever extent our consciousness, our heart is filled with alienation, lust, anger, material anger, greed. Of course, there's also spiritual lust and spiritual anger and spiritual anxiety. But to whatever extent we have desires separate from pure devotional service to Krishna, we have heart disease. So a true guru cures our skin disease and our heart disease. So there's different, life is difficult, different disturbances, different perplexities from our own mind, from others, from eating, sleeping, mating, defending. So one of the perplexities is war. This is, well, I checked the news yesterday, and a big war broke out in Israel yesterday. A big war broke out. I checked the news. Right. So, and then it was a little over a year and a half ago, a big war broke out in Ukraine. Okay. We're aware of it. So I just noticed that, okay, I spent more time reading the news articles and watching the videos because of my particular skin disease. I have more attachment because I know people there, like more than in Ukraine. Okay, so like that. So, okay, this is like, my ancestry, my family, like that. So, skin disease. Yesterday in class, Malini referenced the verse Sarvo Padi Vinir Muktam Tat Pravat Vena Nirmalam. Rishi Kena Rishi Ke Sevanam Bhaktir Uttama. That an upadi, that's skin disease. Skin disease. I'm Arab, I'm Jewish, I'm tall, I'm short, I'm male, I'm female. This is all skin disease. It's all these are symptoms of skin disease. All symptoms of skin disease. All right. So it's described in the Vedas. For those who joined us recently, we're studying Bhagavad-gita chapter 2, text 7, which means that, just like if we really want to be cured of skin disease and heart disease, we're talking on the spiritual platform, and we approach an expert doctor, an expert physician. So this whole idea of guru, to demystify it, guru means teacher. In its etiological sense. Guru actually means heavy. Guru means heavy. It also means teacher, but it means, so you can see, till now, and Prabhupada points this out here, Krishna was, talking to her, back and forth, we're friends. But now, Arjuna's like, all right, Shishastaham Sadimam Tam Prabhupada. Now I'm your disciple, you're my guru. Isn't it? Guru means heavy. Sadhu. Sadhu means like a great sage. But the actual root meaning of sadhu, just like guru means teacher, the root meaning of guru is heavy. Sadhu means great sage. The root meaning of sadhu, or sadvi, is to cut, to pierce through, cut through all the illusion, all the nonsense. Okay. So that's the root meaning of sadhu and guru. So now Krishna is all right. So now that it's not just like friendly talks, all right, let's focus in. Let's get to the root. And then Krishna describes Ashochan Anvashoshastram Pragivadam Chabasase Gatsuna Katasumstra Namshochotim Padita. He says, okay, Arjun, you're speaking learned words about social theory and protection of the weak, and okay, you're speaking like a fool. Because you're thinking, because you're infected with skin disease. You're not the body. We're eternal beings. And then Krishna gets into the philosophy from pure compassion. So, in addition to mention perplexities like 10 times, Prabhupada also gives this analogy. They are like about the perplexities of material life. They're like a forest fire that somehow blazes without being set by anyone. Similarly, the world situation is such that perplexities of life automatically appear without our wanting such confusion. I mentioned a few moments ago, yesterday, big war broke out in the Middle East, in Israel, like that. It's like that. So, and it could be a war within ourselves, but these perplexities, the disturbances, it's the nature of the material world, right? So, and as long as we have material consciousness, it's going to be one disturbance after the next, or 100 disturbances after the next. So, each morning at 5 a.m., Samsara Dava Nalalida Loka Chanaya Karunya Ganatvam Praptasya Kalyana Gunarnavasya Vande Guru Shri Charanara Vindam. So that's from Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. He revealed that bhajan a few hundred years ago, and Prabhupada gave it to us to sing each morning. The true guru, the spiritual master, is like a merciful rain cloud that extinguishes the forest fire of material existence, extinguishes the forest fire of material existence through its instructions, through following it, like that. So that's material existence, imagine there's a big forest fire, we're trapped in it. It's a terrible situation. And the spiritual master is like a rain cloud, some Saradava Nalali de Lokachunaya Karanya Gana from like a rain cloud, merciful rain cloud. And actually, even with the biggest fire brigades and all the technology, if there's a big forest fire, just we need to wait till it rains. That's when it rains, then the forest fire is extinguished. So that's the true guru, the spiritual master. And so then Arjuna is describing himself as Karpanya Doshapata Svabhava. And so Prabhupada's describing that as miserly. So miserly indicates just like if we have something, we have some gift, we have some treasure, we have some gift, but I'm not going to use it. I'm not going to use it. I'm going to withhold my gifts rather than using it effectively for good. I'll just withhold. That's miser. The opposite is Brahman. So we've often used in writing and in speaking and classes, seminars, the computer analogy, right? You could get an expensive computer, we're using it as a doorstop that represents Atato Brahma Jigyasa. We have this human form of life. It's the greatest treasure. And so if we're not using it for the highest values of life, if we're just using it for the animal propensities of glorified forms of eating, sleeping, mating, defending, then we're miser, then we're karpanya. Karpanya dosha, that's a fault. Yeah, that's yeah. And so it's a weakness. So Arjuna is saying, yeah, I'm weak, I'm miserly, and he has the humility to approach Krishna as his guru, friendly, talks over, guru, heavy, sadhu, cut, pierce through the nonsense, spiritual life. It's not a joke. It's very weighty. That's what guru means. So, yeah. So it's also described in the Vedas, Tasmad Guru Prapadyate Jigyasu Shreya Uttama. Shabde Pare Shanishnatam Brahmanupashanashrayam. So the Vedas are describing. Okay. So like, if you really want to live for Shreya, and that word is used here, Shishaste Mam Sadimam Tvam Propanam. And so, Yatreya Shanishchita. So Shreya means the ultimate. There's prayas, the immediate gratification. We can live for prayas. And then Shreyas means the ultimate good. Yes. The ultimate good. And the ultimate good. And so the Vedas say, okay, if you want to live for your ultimate good and the ultimate good of everyone, that's Shreyas. Then approach a bona fide guru, a bona fide spiritual master to be to get guided, a guide for the perplexed, guided out of the perplexities of material existence. So that requires acknowledging, like Saraswati Goswami, like Arjuna, I'm perplexed, I'm lost. All right, so then there's so many places Prabhupada goes in this wonderful purport. He said, the Vedic wisdom therefore advises that in order to solve the perplexities of life and to understand the science of the solution, one must approach a spiritual master who's in the disciplic succession. So first of all, in any field, like if one wants, I want to get a PhD in physics, one wants to become high-level guitar player, an Olympic-level athlete, you're going to approach someone who's like really good at that. You're going to approach a master of physics or the sport or the music. So but spiritual life means you just do what you feel. Well, okay. What is the you that's doing what you feel? And am I my tongue? Am I my belly? Am I my genitals? Am I my mind? Because to do what my tongue, belly, genitals, mind feels, that has me stuck in these perplexities. Hasn't really got me much spiritual advancement. So just like in any field, and Krishna says in Bhagavad-gita, of all the sciences, I am the supreme science of the self. So we talked about like Olympic athlete, okay, like whatever, or top level tennis player. So I'm thinking like if I just had like 10% of devotion to Krishna consciousness that the Olympic athletes do to their skiing or swimming or whatever, I'd be doing really good. All right, because they're so devoted, they're to their craft, their sport. All right. But then it makes sense, like for this most sublime opportunity of existence of a human form of life, to become really excellent at that. It makes sense. It would require more determination than someone to get an Olympic gold medal. No, just do what you feel. That's real spiritual life. Yeah, sure. I mean, at some level, like when we realize who we are, and then the soul naturally, spontaneously feels like serving Krishna with love and devotion. Okay, then we can do what we feel because we realize who we are, and we've got cured from the skin disease. Otherwise, we're going to do what our senses and material mind fields, and we'll just stay in the samsara dava nalalita, and they'll stay in the forest fire, material existence. So, yeah. Now, as far as guru, okay, so guru means teacher, and so sometimes we like to make the distinction. There's guru in the plural, and there's guru in the singular. So I mean, I can say I have so many gurus, right? I have so many gurus. My Vartma Pradarshak guru, he's actually living in High Springs. Stambadas Prabhu. He's living in haven't seen him in years. I have some correspondence with him every year or two. But he was directing the Bhakti Yoga Center in State College, Pennsylvania, back when I was back in the late 70s, early 80s. And my friend Jeff Nutkowitz said, yeah, there's like great food there. Okay, let's go there. And he would like that. And he actually for 3 years, the only lecture I ever heard was from Stambadas, like that. So Vartma Pradarshak Guru, that's the guru who first takes us to the path. So I over the course of these 43 years, I've had many gurus, but someone who truly supports me and helps me in my self-realization and Krishna consciousness. That's a guru. Bhagavatam, there's sections in Bhagavatam. The tree is our guru. We learn tolerance from the tree, and the dog, we learn loyalty. There's gurus in nature, and so there's so many people I'm forever indebted to. Some of them, I mean, I don't know what's happening between them and Krishna. Some of them, they supported me so much, inspired me so much in my Krishna consciousness, and now I don't even know if they're practicing Krishna consciousness. They have their path. They maybe got confused by mine. So we have so many gurus. So there's guru in the plural. Then there's guru in the singular. So Arjuna here, in this turning point, transformational, transitional verse of Bhagavad-gita, Arjuna, he's referring to guru in the singular. Guru in the singular is that one guru in whom we have, or at least aspire to have, absolute unconditional trust. So my guru in the singular, that's Srila Prabhupada. Okay. And I'm forever grateful and indebted to all my gurus in the plural, whether in human form or other form like that. And then guru in the singular, the guru. Guru in the singular needs to be a guru, a person who's no taint, no tinge of any, no effect of any material modes of nature, completely pure devotee of Krishna. So for me, guru in the singular, that's Srila Prabhupada. That's the guru. He's the guru. And I'm making that concrete. So Srila Prabhupada describes about his own history, his own biography, right? Because Srila Prabhupada, he's a pure devotee of Krishna from, well, forever, and certainly from the time he appeared in 1896. And at the same time, Srila Prabhupada, he became kind of skeptical, even cynical about gurus and sadhus, because he saw, even back then, in the early 1900s, he saw a lot of cheating and farce in the name of Vaishnavism and in the name of guru. And he saw a lot of cheating going on. And or like they would be guru and to get donations, and then they'd be smoking this and that, and all sorts of things. And then in 1922, when Prabhupada's in his mid-20s, he had a friend. He had a friend from the Mulik family, and the friend said, "Oh, there's a truly saintly guru, Vaishnava person in Calcutta. Let's visit him." And that's where Prabhupada went to Scottish Churches College in Calcutta. So Prabhupada said, no, I don't want to waste my time with this. But then his friend Mulik convinced him. Prabhupada said, he dragged me there. He dragged me there. They went up to, and Srila Bhakti Siddhanta was giving a talk. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta was giving a talk. And so Prabhupada, even though he was cynical and skeptical, that was the etiquette, so he offered obeisances. And before he and his friend could get up from offering obeisances, Bhakti Siddhanta, he saw these are educated young men. He said essentially, you should dedicate your life to spreading, to sharing Lord Chaitanya's message in the English-speaking world. So essentially, like before hello, Bhaktisiddhanta gave him, here's your life mission. Wasn't even a hello, you know? So then, so Prabhupada was Abhay Charan at the time. Abhay Charan argued with Bhaktisiddhanta. He said, well, of course, Lord Chaitanya, but who's going to listen as long as India is a subjugated country? At the time, Prabhupada was a follower of Gandhi and the nationalist movement like that. And so they went back and forth. And then Prabhupada later would say, I argued with Bhaktisiddhanta. And Prabhupada would say, I was happily defeated. And Bhaktisiddhanta convinced him on the spot. No, this is transcendental. This isn't dependent on any political arrangement. This is transcendental. So Prabhupada would say in later years, I was happily defeated. And when they walked out of the meeting with Narendra Mulik, Prabhupada commented to his friend, he said, Lord Chaitanya's mission is in good hands. Because till then he saw so many so-called representatives of Lord Chaitanya who in many cases were just cheaters and bogus and like that. He said, Lord Chaitanya. So Prabhupada would say, there's a lecture where Prabhupada says, he says, that was my real initiation in 1922. My real initiation, I accepted Bhaktisiddhanta's mission as my heart and soul. And that's my real initiation. So we and the Prabhupada said, I formally got initiated in 1933, 11 years later, but my real initiation, essential, I accepted Bhaktisiddhanta as my guru, and his not just guru in a sense of, oh, it's fashionable to have a guru. No, I accepted his mission as my heart and soul. That was the real initiation. So we sing every morning, Chakudan Diloye Janme Janme Prabhuse, Divyagan Ride Prokashito. So that's how Prabhupada defines initiation, Diksha. Diksha is Divyagan. And you fill our hearts with transcendental, you fill our hearts with transcendental knowledge. That's the essence of initiation. And sure, it could manifest as in terms of a formal ceremony and thing, and formal vows. And the formal vows and the formal ceremony, they're also transcendently potent when done under the guidance of Prabhupada's instructions. So in a sense, we're alive and current in the process of transcendental Vaishnava initiation to the extent that we've accepted, absorbed, imbibed, dedicated ourselves to Prabhupada's mission as our heart and soul. And so we qualify ourselves to receive initiation, Diksha, Divya Gyan, through humbly following Srila Prabhupada and dedicating ourselves to serve his mission. And then that's, we use the term, because Prabhupada uses the term, and then Prabhupada's our current link to the Parampara. And a current link, I like this term. Many of you have heard me use it like thousands of times. So, because otherwise, in this purport, there's quotes from the Vedas. Oh, no, I heard this one here. The Vedas say this. So Well, otherwise, how are we going to understand the Vedas? So current link means I understand the Vedas. I understand the previous teachers, the previous gurus, Srila Jiva Goswami, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Krishna, Arjuna. I understand them through my current link to the Prabhupada. That's Srila Prabhupada. That's Srila Prabhupada. Otherwise, we can go here and there. And this one says this, and this one says that. And so I not just Vedas, but if I'm reading a book on personal transformation, a book on American history, a book on the Greek philosophy, I'm endeavoring to understand it through the pure lenses of Srila Prabhupada. That's what I mean. He's my current link to life, to all teachings. Yes, yeah, and then we're transformed by transformational transcendental knowledge to the extent that we commit ourselves in action, word, thought, deed to follow Prabhupada and to serve his mission. Then that's life. Then we're alive. Otherwise, we'll be like Arjuna in this verse. Of course, this whole Bhagavad-gita, it's about Arjuna. It's a story of transformation. So Arjuna's transformation, starting with this verse. Until here, we get Arjuna's a good person. He's a compassionate person, but he's confused. He's lost. Now he goes, I'm confused. I'm lost. I acknowledge that. I'm meeting myself where I'm at. Please instruct me. Please instruct me. Get heavy with me. Cut through my nonsense. Cut through my perplexities. And so, So Srila Prabhupada will often quote a verse from Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, English. Bhaktivinoda Thakur in the 1800s, he wrote in many languages, including English. He reasons ill who tell that Vaishnavas die when thou art living still in sound. Vaishnavas die to live, and living try to spread the holy name around. Yeah, I had an email exchange with a member of our community yesterday, and she asked about this conversation of a lecture from Prabhupada, 1968 in Seattle, and a disciple asked about the Christians. The Christians can't make advancement because they don't have a spiritual master. So Prabhupada says, well, Jesus. And then the disciple said, oh, I meant a living spiritual master. So if you hear the tape, it's almost like Prabhupada couldn't even accommodate. Like, what? Essentially, that's Prabhupada, he pauses. He goes, spiritual master means eternal. Spiritual master, because once you have a living spiritual master, then you're introducing the concept, not a dead spiritual master. We like living spiritual masters better. So I'm being facetious, but this is very serious stuff, because that's it, actually. So Prabhupada's like, no, spiritual master is eternal. Spiritual master lives forever in his instructions, and that's called Vani, and in his Vapu form too. If Srila Prabhupada's not fully present in his Murti or in his pictures on the altar, then what is this, idol worship? No, the pure devotee has the potency, just like Krishna and Sri Radha Shama Sundar has the potency to be fully present in their pictures, fully, 100%. So, and this is an important point, because in order to protect our Bhakti Lata Bij and serving to Srila Prabhupada, there's lots of, there's different viewpoints, deviant viewpoints, Shruti Smriti Purnati Panchracha Vidim Vida Akantaki Hare Bhakti Utpataya Yavis Kalpate. So Prabhupada warns, he says that if one's even practicing bhakti, but not according to Shastra and Guru, then it's even in the name of bhakti, it's a great disturbance. It could be a greater disturbance because someone's not even saying they're practicing Gaudiya Vaishnavism, then, oh, okay, whatever. And, but But in the name of Gaudiya Vaishnavism, there's some or many, and they say, Srila Prabhupada's no longer empowered. He's no longer available. They might not say that directly, but essentially, Prabhupada's no longer available to be your current link to the Parampara. Okay, so that's quite a deviant, dangerous mentality. What's the philosophical basis on which Prabhupada's no longer available? Okay, no, it's that conception that Prabhupada's no longer 100% available. That's skin disease. That's skin disease. No. For a guru to give transcendental knowledge, we need to be in the same room. Because once you get more than 50 feet apart, guru loses his potency, poor disempowered guru. Well, at least on in the same state, like, you couldn't have can't receive transcendental knowledge if you're here in Florida and the guru's in Utah or India or something. I mean, but so I'm making fun, but this is what people are saying. It's this complete skin disease in the name of Gaudiya Vaishnavism. Don't fall for it. Don't fall. So Prabhupada's completely 100% available. It's completely present and available. And then a big part of my service to Srila Prabhupada is to be a guru. A big part of my service is to be a guru, and yours too. And the way that I joyfully get to be a guru is to support people to establish their direct personal relationship with Srila Prabhupada as their current direct personal living link to the Parampara, and to encourage and inspire through my example, through my words, through my activities, that's my aspiration, to encourage you to continue to develop throughout your life into forever your personal relationship with Srila Prabhupada as the main Vaishnava from whom people directly receive Divyagan, transformational, transcendental knowledge. So that's the way I get to be a guru. I get to assist the guru in the singular. So that's different than, yes, my service is to be guru. I'll be your link to Srila Prabhupada. No, I have a role to play. My role to play is to care about people, to support them, to establish their personal direct current link to Srila Prabhupada. So it's an important distinction. Now, if someone says, well, my current link to the disciplic succession is someone else. Okay. I'm not saying necessarily that Prabhupada's the only available pure devotee current link to the parampara started by Krishna. I am saying 100% for sure, unarguable, that Prabhupada is fully available to be a bona fide current link and he's complete and perfect, fully capable and available and empowered by Krishna and by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta to be our current link to the parampara for our spiritual advancement to whatever level we choose to surrender. And that's why if someone says, well, for me, it's someone else. Okay, I respect, I honor. If someone says, Srila Prabhupada's not available anymore, then I get fiery. And some of you have seen me go there. Right? Because then that person is creating a disturbance, an interference. That is spiritual violence. That is spiritual violence, which I'm not inclined to tolerate. And if someone says, I choose someone else, okay. So, but if someone says Prabhupada's not available to be 100% living and available, to be the direct link living, then I'll take a strong stand. And we'll establish philosophically, as we've opened the door to the philosophy of that in this class, and based on Prabhupada's own history and pastimes, right? Prabhupada's disappearance pastime was November 14th, 1977. Before November 14th, 1977, Srila Prabhupada gave essential and formal Gaudiya Vaishnava initiation to hundreds of disciples who never had any physical interface with Prabhupada whatsoever. Prabhupada did not conduct their ceremony of initiation. They never saw Prabhupada at a temple or an airport, never received a letter from Prabhupada. Prabhupada didn't select their spiritual name, and no physical interface whatsoever. Prabhupada handled all of the formalities of the process of initiation through his representatives. So what's the basis that, well, Prabhupada was empowered to do that on November 13th, 1977, but he lost his empowerment on November 15th. What can you do except laugh? That's the absurdity. That's the absurdity they're trying to perpetuate. Don't fall for it. So, yeah, I remember this was, I'll close with this. I know we're getting, yeah, this was in 2017. It was a very nice Vaishnav community. And it was in the south of Switzerland in the far mountains. And it was on the kind of the border of Italy. And they invited me, and a few of us were there. And even though the views I'm talking about, they're kind of new for them, but they invited me to speak, even though this was new. And like for the community, it's kind of a thing to do there, a thing to do, like because the leader of the community, they go to India regularly, look for pure devotees and like that. And so they really like philosophy. So one time, like they asked me to speak, and the discussion went on for like 3 hours. It was we had differences. It was very respectful, very respectful. I appreciate it. But at one point, yeah, like they asked me like, don't you like go here and there, whether it's to California or India, to look for pure devotees? So I said, no. And then I said, okay, if I knew there was a pure devotee of Krishna in South Florida or Texas or North India or South, if I knew there was a pure devotee or 10 pure devotees of Krishna in this place or that place, then what I would do is I'd enthusiastically encourage people to connect with Srila Prabhupada as their direct current living link to the Parampara. And I'd try to inspire them to develop that relationship. So I said, I would do just what I'm doing now. So I said, well, but you would like want to visit these pure devotees like that to get their association and to get enlivened by their association. And I said, no. They were just, what? No. But I mean, it's all, you could read pure devotee, the association of the pure devotee. Nah. And they were like, really? No. I said, my interest, my enthusiasm is to serve Prabhupada. That's it. And serving Prabhupada, and first of all, I shared there was about 30. It was this pretty small room. It was a packed room, like about 30. I said, I'm serving Prabhupada, like right here, I'm serving Prabhupada in this conversation, and I'm getting to be with these wonderful devotees, you, like that. So in serving Prabhupada, maybe sometimes I'll be with practitioners of Krishna consciousness who are at a very high level of purity, or sometimes not, or sometimes I'll be all alone or whatever. My service isn't to try to hop around the globe looking for this one and that one. I heard this one's pure like that. No, my service is to serve Prabhupada. And so So that means on Thursday, I'm going to a place called Orem, Utah to serve Prabhupada. And in the Software of Advanced Seminar. It's my service to Prabhupada. Right now, my service is here at Mother Malini's Bhakti Yoga Ashram. And this is if I'm serving Prabhupada, that association is perfect and complete. I don't want to distract from my service searching for this one. And that, of course, if there's a pure devotee of Krishna on the planet, or 10 or a million, I mean, that's great for the planet. For me, I'm not interested. I'm interested to serve Srila Prabhupada. And whatever association comes, I'm joyful about that. Hare Krishna. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Thank you. Thanks for listening. I'll close there. Any questions or comments? Rohini.
Recently, I think it was Nalini, but I was with Nalini and Subal, and Nalini asked me, Mom, who's gonna be my spiritual master, or
Yeah.
who is my spiritual master?
Yeah.
And so I looked at him and I looked at Subal, and I said, oh, I think perhaps Subal was interested too after his brother said it, but I said, okay, well, come with me. Come with me. And I brought them into the living room and I said, go ahead, sit down. I said, sit down right here in front of the altar, sit down. And so we all sat down and I said, now look up at the altar in front of you. And we were all looking there, and Nalini was like, or maybe, I don't know if it was Nalini or Subal, but one of them said, Srila Prabhupada. And I said, well, yes, it's obvious.
Mhm.
He sent you to our family so that you could connect with him again. And you don't need to look anywhere else. He's right here, right now, for you.
Yeah.
It's so easy and simple. You don't need to make a big effort to go find someone. He's right here, right? And he brought you to him.
Mm.
And so, yeah, I don't know. I want to keep telling them that, because I honestly, I mean, it's like, choose what you have. Like, it's like here, you were brought here.
It's like how you emphasize simple.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, you need to go to South India to search. Srila Prabhupada, sit here in our living room, look at the altar.
Yeah.
I'm very moved by your sharing, Rohini, very moved. And so that way you are effectively being a guru for your sons. And the way you're being a guru is not like, I'm your link to Prabhupada. No, the way you're being a guru is to encourage them to develop their natural, personal, direct link with Srila Prabhupada, with Srila Prabhupada as their current living link to Krishna's parampara. So that's in Sanskrit, that's called you're being their Siksha Guru. And so you have your role, and your role is to support them to connect with Prabhupada directly. Very, very beautiful, very simple.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for sharing. Any other comments, sharing, or questions? Bhakti George.
Hare Krishna, Dhira. Thank you so much for morning class.
Hare Krishna.
I had a recent conversation with some devotees from ISKCON, and I guess the point of living guru came up.
Yeah.
And it was I was talking about them, and the conversation did not end well. Because I made the point that I'm only on Canto 2 or 3 far in Bhagavatam, but I associate with people in my satsanga who are very dear to Prabhupada, who have devoted their lives for decades to him. And I was like, so far in my personal reading, I've never heard the words living guru written anywhere in the Bhagavad-gita or anywhere like this. And ultimately their conclusion was that I had no understanding of the Guru Tattva, and that I was not humble enough to, bow down to another person. And so I ended the conversation. I said, I feel complete. But
Daddy, I want to tell you something.
it was almost like they were very charged in their arguments, and I realized that they were committed to their standpoint that you needed like living, breathing lungs for someone to approach you to the guru. And so I said, every time I would try to close a conversation with these devotees and say, we agree to disagree, Hare Krishna. Like I try not to be charged or rude with them because I don't want to offend devotees, but they were always like, yeah, you don't have understanding, you are not humble, kind of thing. And so anyway, I just wanted to share that experience. I appreciate very much your sharing, and I feel very enlivened by it.
Okay, thank you, Bhakti George. Thanks for sharing. Yeah. So, okay, so they could disagree with Bhakti George, but essentially their point is that Srila Prabhupada, he just got it wrong. He just got it wrong. I'll just repeat what we shared earlier. So Srila Prabhupada, he gave initiation, formal and essential, to hundreds of disciples who had no physical interface with him whatsoever. They were never in the same room, never received a letter from him, never talked on the phone with him. Prabhupada didn't conduct their ceremony of initiation. Prabhupada didn't chant on their initiation beads. So these Prabhus who you're referring to, they're saying, no, you need a living, breathing. So Prabhupada just got it wrong. That's one point of view. My point of view is Prabhupada knew what he was doing. Prabhupada got it right. And that the process of initiation, the process of current link, 0% dependent on anything physical. And so the philosophy you just represented, and of course I didn't talk to them personally, that's called Mayavad. The essence of Mayavad philosophy is to confuse spirit with matter and matter with spirit. So here's the idea of what they're saying. So Srila Prabhupada's eternal, fully empowered, 100% transcendental Shakti through his instructions and his Murti is not sufficient to transform the heart. In other words, because it's material, because it's material, so it doesn't have spiritual potency. For you to really transform, you need to be in the presence of my lungs and my voice box. This is what they're saying. And these lips, and you need this whole material contraption for you to be spiritually transformed. So they're thinking like these lungs and this tongue, this matter, they're thinking that's spiritual, and Prabhupada's fully transcendental spiritual vibration is material. So it's a form of Mayavad or Sahajya, like that. And yeah. So again, Srila Prabhupada established that system by his pastime. In Srila Prabhupada's last will and testament, maybe some of you are familiar with Prabhupada's last will and testament. In June of 1977, he wrote his last will. Know what he says there? So he talks about, because for his different centers all around the world, he had different trustees. And so Prabhupada's giving his last will and testament for the continuation of his movement for hundreds and thousands of years. Because the idea is Lord Chaitanya's movement goes on for at least another 9,500 years. So Prabhupada says that when a trustee dies, the trustee will be replaced by one of my initiated disciples. Now, Prabhupada uses the word initiated. Again, maybe he was senile and that's what they're saying. I'm not saying that, but that's what they're saying. That in his last days and months, he was a senile Bengali. That's what the leader, yeah, it's in writing. That's what they're saying. You know, Bengali old men, when they get old, they just kind of, no, that's what the leadership of that organization is saying. The rank and file don't have a clue, but that's what they're perpetuating, and it trickles down. So again, I'm taking the radical stance that Prabhupada knew what he was talking about, and he was very clear and empowered. And so basically, he's saying initiated disciple will replace the trustee who dies. So Prabhupada's saying very clearly, hundreds, thousands of years from now, he'll have initiated disciples. Okay. So, all right. And I appreciate, Dr. George, that in the scenario you described, you chose not to get into, you didn't sense that there's necessarily a environment for genuine dialogue to enrich understanding. Thanks for sharing, Dr. George.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Valerie.
Someone recently was telling me that Srila Prabhupada wanted his disciples to initiate people. I think you were just speaking on this. But I'm curious to hear more about that and what that means.
Yeah. Okay. What's the reference? You don't know.
What do you mean when you say what's the reference?
You heard from someone that Prabhupada said something about he wants his disciples. So what's their reference from Prabhupada's lectures?
Letters.
Letters.
Just writing letters.
Okay. All right. So I'm saying that Srila Prabhupada's qualified to initiate. That's it. I'm saying Srila Prabhupada's qualified to initiate. If someone says, yeah, but my guru is this one or that one, and like that, okay, hope it works well for you. Yeah, good luck. I mean that sincerely. Good luck. I'm saying Prabhupada's fully available. On what basis are you saying Prabhupada's not available? And we can look at Prabhupada's letters and this and that. Clearly, Prabhupada wants Prabhupada to have initiated disciples hundreds and thousands of years from now, in the last will and testament. Okay. We can get into his letters and what it was, but I'm going to look for someone who is a disciple of Prabhupada to be my current link. Hope it goes well. You know, wishing you well. Prabhupada is one's current link, one's initiating guru. That's 100% for sure. Show me any philosophy or anything from Srila Prabhupada where he's indicating he's not available for that. I've given just a few things to show he's completely available, and that's sure thing. That's a sure thing. Okay, so yeah, I mean I'm probably familiar with the letters they're referring to. So one thing again, back to what Bhakti George said. So Bhakti George said, you're only on the second canto. Here's the thing, Bhakti George. You read all of Prabhupada's books, read all of his letters, read all of hear all of his lectures, read the transcripts of his lectures, read all 37 of his conversations, read all of his legal documents. And the number of times that you'll find that Srila Prabhupada uses the word living guru is 0. 0. I'm ready to be proved wrong, but and then when I started writing about these things in 1998, because the term living guru, but how many times has Prabhupada used the term living spiritual master? 0. 0. Look in all of Prabhupada's teachings, living guru, living. You know, I started taking prasad in 1980, with a few years after Prabhupada departed. Started chanting japa in 1983. And I was, from there, I'm just a living guru, living spirit. You need a living. And when I started thinking about things, 1998, I thought, well, I'm going to probably find like hundreds of times where Prabhupada talks about living guru. But I find like It's not part of Prabhupada's lexicon because it's not part of his consciousness. The one time that a disciple mentioned, you need a living spiritual master, Prabhupada was like, he was like perplexed, like, what? What do you mean? Spiritual master is eternal, like that. So it's not part of Prabhupada's paradigm. This whole thing, living guru, it's just not part of Prabhupada's paradigm. And then in the course, we won't go there now. But there's so many other things that in the institution, it's just taken for granted. And people who come now, they're thinking about things, but it's not Prabhupada at all. That's why hear from Prabhupada. Mother Malin.
In the Prabhupada's conversation and some of his letter, it seems that sometimes Prabhupada's mood was to yield to his disciple because what else could he do? He didn't want them to commit offenses.
Yeah.
And he knew that the most dangerous offenses would be to oppose a spiritual master.
Yeah, true.
So to protect them from offenses, sometimes he did say things like that.
Sure.
Like I remember one conversation where Srila Prabhupada clearly was saying, they will be my disciple.
Yeah.
And then the devotee with Srila Prabhupada was insisting, well, Prabhupada, what do you mean? You mean they will be our disciple? And afterwards, Prabhupada said, you can initiate if you want to, like kind of yielding, but to avoid to damage their spiritual life.
Yeah.
And I think the same thing happened in letters. We see only the letters that come from Srila Prabhupada. We don't see the letters that were sent to Srila Prabhupada. And in those situations where, Prabhupada never said, don't initiate, anybody can take, initiative to be an initiating spiritual master. I could do that. Yes, people will accept initiation from me and believe me that I'm the current link to Srila Prabhupada. From the last 35 years, I could have found people like that who gobble it. I won't be gobbling it myself, but they could gobble it. And I imagine having that mentality and approaching Prabhupada, that Prabhupada would probably say, yes, you can accept your own disciple if you want. And also because Prabhupada is so merciful. I see that again and again hearing his conversation that when his disciple push him, because he knows where their heart, he understands their mind, he's so merciful and compassionate and supporting them and protecting them from making the mad elephant
offense.
Yeah.
Thank you, Melanie. Thanks for responding. Completely accurate, completely true and accurate. Okay. For example, there was one disciple who was a leading disciple in 66, one of Prabhupada's first disciples. Okay. And then by 67, this disciple, because he did a lot, he was a leader, and then by 67, I won't go into all the details, but he was causing a lot of disturbance. He was causing a lot of disturbance. Prabhupada was in India, and this disciple was coming back to New York and the Boston Center, and he was preaching he was confusing the devotees who were younger than him and this and that. And so Srila Prabhupada understood what was going on because he got letters from some of the disciples, and Prabhupada wrote to all the disciples, there was just 2 or 3 senators. He said, well, I'll say the name. He wrote, Kirtanananda should go back to Bellevue. Do you know what is Bellevue? I'll tell you. So Bellevue, at that time, probably not now, in the 60s, Bellevue was a big mental institution in New York City. So before this disciple came to Prabhupada, he was in a mental institution, okay? Like actually very highly intelligent, but very imbalanced. So Prabhupada understood what was happening. He said he should go back to Bellevue. And then Prabhupada, in his expertise, his psychological expertise, he kind of contained this disciple. And the disciple continued, under Prabhupada's guidance, the disciple would keep causing disturbance, but he would also do like significant service. And Prabhupada could guide him in such a way. At one point, the disciple was like, oh, even after Prabhupada's Bellevue comment, the disciple was like, I'm ready to be guru now. And Prabhupada, like, yes, someday, like that. And there's others related to what Malini shared. Others, they were saying, like, even when Prabhupada was physically present in that Vapu form, pre-77, other disciples were like, I'm ready to be the guru with my picture on the altar. I'm ready. Yes. And then Prabhupada could see that, like, if he just says, you're an arrogant fool, the disciple didn't have humility, so then they would just leave. So Prabhupada said, okay, yes, maybe someday, like that. At the same time, if someone who's a disciple of Prabhupada and someone else said, but I accept them as my current link and I put their picture on my altar. Okay, I'm saying, okay, hope it goes well for you. And just, I mean that sincerely. At the same time, for thousands and thousands who did that, their spiritual lives have been ruined with agony and suffering. So I'm not just being comical and say hope it, because for so many it's not gone well. It's been a slaughterhouse. It's been a disaster. Same time, but that's my path. Okay, hope it goes well for you. Prabhupada's completely available. If you want to search here and there, best of luck. Garuda.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, dear Govinda, for your class. What came to mind for me was about 3 weeks ago or so, I was reading The Science of Self-Realization,
Yes.
this particular book. And, right in the beginning of it, the dedication, it says, according to material vision, our beloved spiritual master, guide, and friend, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, passed away from this world on November 14, 1977. But actually, he is still present. As Srila Prabhupada often pointed out, there are two ways of associating with spiritual master: through the physical presence, Vapu, and through his instructions, Vani. Sometimes we can associate with the spiritual master through his physical presence, and sometimes not, but we can always associate with him through his instructions. And, when I read this, and it says this was a dedication from the editors. So my question is, this book, The Science of Self-Realization, is there new versions of this that don't have the dedication in front of it? Because it clearly states that Srila Prabhupada is still present. So that was one question I had. And another question I had is, when this book was, it says that it was this is a reproduction of the original in 1977.
Yes.
So I'm assuming this is about the same time of Srila Prabhupada's passing pastime.
Correct.
And so it seems like the editors at the time, the devotees at the time, understood that Srila Prabhupada was still present. Was this book created before his disappearance pastime or afterwards? Because my question is, if it's afterwards, then it seems like they were still like, feeling like he's present. So I'm kind of curious, what's the timeline in this, and how, maybe the editors changed their mind or something. I don't know.
Thank you, Garuda. There is edited more recent editions of that. I haven't read it closely, so I'm not sure if they have the same comments from the editors. And my understanding is Science of Self-Realization was released, maybe around 77, 78, right around the time of Prabhupada's disappearance. And that's why this insidious, very, very, very deviant philosophy of Prabhupada's not fully present. It's getting more prevalent. It's not getting better. It's getting, as the decades and generations go on, it's getting more prevalent. And this relates to Prabhupada's disappearance, past time, and it relates to that. But just like, okay, so there's been concerted effort to try to kill and obscure Prabhupada's Vani, his instruction, in so many ways. Like, let's keep Prabhupada there enough to attract people because he's so captivating and attractive. But let's use Prabhupada to attract people to my guru game, and et cetera, et cetera. And then, and as we know, there was a plot to get rid of Prabhupada's Vapu and his Vani, and that's become more prevalent over the past 45 years. So thanks for sharing that. It does reveal the consciousness of the editors at that time, whether the new edition of that book has that same thing. It's an interesting question. Mother Malini has a comment, and I'm going to hear from Bhakti Devin. Bhakti Devin. Thank you, Garuda.
Okay, well, I probably, well, I feel like Mother Molly has a comment. It's probably maybe more important than what I have to say.
It's not a competition.
Okay. Well, a couple of things happening for me when I experience you, I'm going to say getting worked up, excited, and passionate about the subject of Srila Prabhupada being fully available. I have different experiences over time. One often experience is like, okay, like, okay, you're so clear and rich with understanding and directly from Srila Prabhupada's works and recordings and writings and lectures and letters. It's like I don't have anything to say. I almost like lose, any questions, and it's like, okay, yeah. So just noticing some of my experience. And then when Dr. George shared, I was empathizing with his experience of like a devotee that's just not open to really have a discussion, and then trying to be like, well, it's okay, we agree to disagree. We probably agree on many more things from the philosophy, and I don't want to be offensive to devotees, but then I was like feeling rage at like these devotees apparently saying, Dr. George, you don't have the humility. You don't have the humility. I mean, I was sort of laughing and feeling pain and feeling rage. It's like I experienced, from what I understand, Dr. George was having all the humility, and these devotees apparently were in some like defensive, challenging mode, and not like open to really learn from each other or something. And without knowing who these people are, I engaged in some Facebook chat. Hello. Good morning. I engaged in some Facebook chat with some apparent devotees that felt very strongly Srila Prabhupada, felt very strongly you have to take a living guru. And I'm on the phone. And they made a comment. This is one of the comments they made that I wanted to share. It said, Srila Prabhupada, I'm on the phone, just a second. They said, when TKG asked Srila Prabhupada, you have told us that you are in your books. Then why does anyone need to come and hear from you? Srila Prabhupada leaned over the desk and twisted his ear, telling him, because books can't do this. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but these are the kind of examples that I, not directly, I mean, there's many people having conversations in the thread, but these are some of the examples that specifically that person and others would share.
Yeah, that example, it just proves again, Prabhupada got it wrong.
That's, yeah.
He just got it wrong.
So apparent,
you need to realize that.
Yeah, and so it just, I just left the thread feeling like sad, just kind of like, but I like, what am I supposed to do with the judgments? Like, well, they don't get it. Like, it's not my problem. A lot of things kind of come up for me as like, well, I'm not here to change people's minds. This isn't my responsibility to to go in here and change their minds. I feel sad. I feel, I was sort of name called. I was like, as far as in the thread, it was like, okay, you're, labeled, oh, you're one of them, you're one of those, whatever the different titles for people that are in, sects and groups that, only Srila Prabhupada, we don't accept other, or you have to find someone in a body and bow down to them. The same kind of attitude, I think, Dr. George encountered. And yeah, so yeah, the kind of examples that they were using. And
Cool.
yeah,
Thank you. I appreciate your sharing, Bhakti Devin.
Distracted with the kids.
Yeah, well, I appreciate in the midst of family life, you're absorbed in Srila Prabhupada and this discussion, and just that. I mean, again, sounds like that interaction on Facebook, similar with Dr. George. Maybe you choose, like, it's not my role to try to convince someone, and it is my role to deepen my devotion to Srila Prabhupada as my current link to Prabhupada. If it's helpful in such situations where you can't go like that, and okay, and yeah, this relates to the disappearance pastime. We're not going to go there in this class, but just like this is just historical fact. Sure, institutional leadership wants you to not learn that part of history, but historical fact. Before November 14th, 1977, Prabhupada initiated hundreds of disciples they were never in the same room with Prabhupada, no physical interface. We don't even need to interpret it, just like that's a historical fact. How do you accommodate that with the ideas that you need a living guru? Also, interestingly, living guru, this term has been living spiritual master hundreds of thousands of times. Prabhupada never once used it. How come you're using it and your guru is using it? Mother Melanie.
I just want to have two things. One is to respond to what you were saying, is that some people, they use Prabhupada because, Prabhupada's big name.
Yeah.
And I was sharing with Valerie the other day how I stumbled upon a website. It was an event in Europe.
Yeah.
And then there was a few quotes of Prabhupada in my gut.
You could tell. This is not Prabhupada. Yeah.
It's not Prabhupada words. It's not Prabhupada, but they were, quoted as Prabhupada.
Yeah.
And then I wrote to the person because I said, well, the webmaster, I said, you're quoting Prabhupada. It's not Prabhupada's words. And of course, I know that's been done. Prabhupada even knew that. He said, they are going to say so many things on my name. In my name.
Yeah.
And we can see he has such a foreseen of everything. Right. And then the person said, I will change it, but they didn't. Yeah. But
so to use Prabhupada when Prabhupada serves my agenda, when Prabhupada doesn't serve my agenda, then he's not available.
Well, and so I say whatever I want to say about Prabhupada, which is interesting. But on Facebook, the Facebook feed, where I shouldn't be as much as I am, but still I go there because of the click I make. I always have quotes about the mass formation or how the mass of people following a lie.
Yeah.
And not like in society in general.
Yeah.
The lie about the virus right now it's quite critical, but also there is people like Tolstoy and so many philosophers who could see that.
Yeah.
And there are so many quotes about that.
Yeah.
How even if the mass follow a certain way of thinking, which right now the mass of people follow a certain way of speaking, that's leading them to a cliff. Yeah. I'm speaking about society in general.
Sure, yeah.
And so because sometimes we can say, well, how many people you are here? Just, a dozen.
Very few,
or not even 20 people here. And there is thousands and tens of thousands of people who think differently than what we are speaking here. And I see so much parallel between the two. Yeah. The mass formation in society at large
is so easy to achieve even in a small society,
Yeah, yeah.
in a small institution. And a lot of those quotes said, like, if everybody believes the lie, the people who are speaking the truth are going to be the problem.
Yeah.
They are going to always be this problem, or are always going to be. I have so many quotes, but I'm like, if you go to my Facebook
Okay.
posting, you will see them. But like the perpetration of lie in society somehow seems to be easier than the presentation and of truth.
Yeah.
And often people who present the truth, they are the one who are becoming the villain.
Yeah.
It's true of bigger society, and then it's true on smaller society too.
Thanks for that, Molly.
Yeah.
Thanks for that.
Yeah.
Rohini.
Okay. Well, two things I'm going to share, and that is one of them is why then are we saying you are my Lord birth after birth?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like it's like right there.
Right. Yeah.
They're not very smart.
They're not very smart.
Because it's very, and also like,
It's right there.
isn't this a philosophy?
Yeah.
No, isn't this a philosophy?
That's a great point that you just made from that song.
And isn't this a philosophy of that we're not this body? Like, what happened to that?
We're not this body.
Like, that's what this movement's.
Is that in Bhagavad-gita or
Yeah.
something? Yeah.
Like, that's all that is talked about. Like, what? I mean, it just doesn't, it doesn't make any sense. It seems like.
Yeah, so you're making sense. And so right. And there's a quote by Ayn Rand that the hardest thing to explain is the glaringly obvious that everyone has decided not to see.
Yeah.
So we're not this body. That's it. Because Prabhupada's not available because, like, where's his body? But my body's here. I'll be your guru. But we're not this body, says Rohini.
And it's also like we're getting spiritual. We're receiving spiritual guidance, spiritual knowledge, and that's not material.
By definition, glaringly
So,
obvious.
So it just I think I've been thinking about like Catholicism and how like the Bible is like so convoluted now.
Yes.
It's like
Yeah.
you don't even know like what, because it's been so corrupted by human.
So far from the original Jesus's words and spirit.
And so this is what's happening. I
Yeah.
mean, this is what's happening, and it's like so yeah, it's like this is what's happening, and this is what's in there. The demonic, like whatever. I guess I don't want to speak. Like it's like this is what's happening.
It's what's happening, and
It's happening.
it's deviant from Srila Prabhupada,
It's-
just like the
yes.
changes are deviant from Jesus. These are all very clear, simple points that are so important that people aren't getting them. Yes, yeah. Shakudana Dile, Janme, you're my Lord, birth after birth. Because like what the institutional say, Prabhupada's not available to give diksha. Diksha means divyagan. Many quotes from Prabhupada to establish that. Diksha. So we sing it, even in the institution, they sing divyagan ride prokashito. They're singing, you're giving us diksha. And the institutional policy is Prabhupada's not capable to give diksha. Hello. And just like, oh, so what's the explanation for that? Just like you can't ask, but the thousands are trained for that to not even occur to you. We're singing, you're giving us diksha in our heart. The institutional philosophy, deviant philosophy is Prabhupada's not available to, then you need to take away that song. No, they don't need to, because like people are trained not to think. Prabhupada wanted all his followers to be independently thoughtful. So that's erased. And your point, Bhagavad-gita 101, we're not this body. Spirit means it's not dependent on matter. It's not dependent on presence on the same room or the same planet. It's just all very simple, salient points. Hare Krishna. I think it's getting towards 10 o'clock. I appreciate the discussion. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Bhagavad-gita ki jai. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hari Bol.